Welcome to Inside the 12. The tailgating has already begun. He is Taylor McGuire. I'm Pete Souza. A lot of times a host will say, we got a jam-packed show for you, or we got a jam-packed show. We've got a jam-packed show. BYU and Texas Tech. That is noon Eastern time on ABC. Before that, of course, ESPN's College Game Day will be there. Kalani Sitake looks like he's walking out to the octagon to take on Joey McGuire and Texas Tech, and for very good reason. This is a heavyweight fight.
It's going to be a massive matchup. All the eyes of college football will start their day at College Game Day with this game, and the biggest matchup for Texas Tech since that showdown against Texas in 2008 at home there in Lubbock. This is a huge matchup with championship implications in Lubbock between BYU and Texas Tech.
Speaking of Texas Tech, we welcome in Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire. Coach, thanks for joining us. Huge game this weekend. How you doing?
Man, thanks for having me. Appreciate being on the show. Doing good. You know, we had a good Tuesday. It's crazy around here right now. I mean, I bet there's 1,000 tents wrapping around the stadium. I walked out of here last night at 9:15. My truck is probably 40 yards away from the front door, and I got in my truck at 10:46. So that kind of tells you how many pictures and autographs and all kinds of stuff that I did, because our students are jacked up for this game.
Coach, we want to dig into that game in just a second, but last night the first round of the college football rankings come out, and the Big 12 has 3 teams in the rankings, and not just 3 teams, but the Big 12 has all 3 teams ahead of anybody from the ACC. From your perspective, what does that say just about the health overall of the league?
Yeah, I think it's pretty incredible, the level of football that's being played right now in the Big 12. You know, and again, I was biased last year. I thought that we should have gotten 2 in. You know, I thought BYU should have been in the playoffs. They beat SMU head-to-head at SMU. And so hopefully people are seeing that the Big 12, we play great football every single week. You're going to have somebody knock somebody off just because I think there's great players, and then there are great coaches in this league.
Well, Coach, you talk about the great players and coaches in this league. Your team has displayed great balance on both sides of the ball. I mean, your defense ranked in the top 5 in the country, your offense putting up points per game, top 5 in the country. Can you speak to that balance a little bit and how you've been able to lean on that to such great success this year?
Well, you know, even before the transfer portal opened last year, I felt like we won the offseason from the standpoint, you know, we added 2 brand new coordinators, Shill Wood on defense and Mac Leftwich on offense. And, man, I just, through the interview process with those guys, man, I just fell in love with what they wanted to do and their thought process and what they believe in. And then we added some great players, and we were able to get some great players to come back to Texas Tech. And, you know, we talk about all the time, hey, if we give up a score on defense, then you got to answer a score with a score. So it's this complementary football, and our players have bought into that. I mean, they talk about it. Like before I ever get to them, they're already talking about, hey, thank the offense or thank the defense for what they're doing.
Coach, you talk about winning the offseason and the pieces that you brought in, and there's been so much made of the talent acquisition from this offseason specifically, but a lot of teams bring in great players. Can you speak to not just that you brought these players in, but the buy-in and clearly the culture that you've built in Lubbock and the success that you're getting out of those portal acquisitions?
Yeah, I think it says a lot about our culture. I think it says a lot about our staff. Man, whenever I say our staff, I mean our trainers, our strength staff, our nutritionists, our sports therapists, our administration. It says a lot about the building as far as the facilities that we pour into these players. And one thing that we try to do is we try to be the same every single day. No matter what's going on, you know, they're going to get the same coaches. They're going to get the same support staff around them. And they know how much we care about them. So there's a huge buy-in. And, you know, I think, man, I'll tell you, I learned this a long time ago. I mean, whenever I was in high school, I remember DeSoto going undefeated in our district. And when we were at the all-district meeting, we were voting for the staff of the year. And there was another team that was a kind of traditional losing team, and a lot of people wanted to put that staff up for coach of the year. And I appreciated what they had done, but I don't think people account for when you have the amount of talent you have, and it's new, and being able to play at the level that you're playing at, it says a lot about the coaching staff and the entire staff of bringing this group together and the chemistry and care that we have for each other.
I think one of the scariest parts about Texas Tech is you're only getting more and more cohesive by the week with all these new parts. And now you take it into an undefeated BYU matchup. We knife through all the excitement and the hype for this game, and we get down to football. What do you guys have to do to win the game on Saturday?
Well, first, Kalani's my dude, man. I have so much respect for him. I think the culture that he has built there, like I said, man, I tried as many times as I could voicing that I thought he should have been in the playoffs last year. You know, the one thing we have to do is we got to be extremely physical. We're playing this is a big boy game. Like this is going to be, you know, who wants to play football the most. BYU's extremely physical. You know, they're taking the ball away at a high rate. They're a +10 on the year turnover margin. We're a +8. So it's going to come out, you know, it's one of the oldest stats in football, you know, who wins the turnover battle. And I think that's going to be a big part of it. So, you know, we've got to understand this is going to be a really close game. It's going to be a fight for 4 quarters, and we got to be willing to be the first to the fight. And, you know, like I tell our guys, if you're first to the fight, you got to be the last one standing. And, man, we got to be able to do that on Saturday because this is a really good football team. You know, the one thing I can say about the CFP with the Big 12, if it ended today and BYU and Tech were in the playoffs right now, then they would be right because BYU deserves to be in the playoffs. We just got to go make sure that we're as deserving and we take care of business on Saturday.
Coach, you talk about this being a big boy football game and toughness needed. How about the toughness out of your quarterback, Baron Morton, he's been around for forever. He's had injuries in his career. He's been banged up some this season, but a big game a week ago. And how important is he, not just as the player that he is, but the toughness that he shows for this team overall?
Well, you know, the one thing I told him a couple of weeks ago, whenever we were talking about him playing against Oklahoma State, you know, I felt like that we could win that game with Will and Mitch. And one thing I told him, I said, man, whenever we get in big games, he's kind of my security blanket. You know, he's the one that at least lets me take a deep breath and say, hey, we got a shot, because I know Baron is going to lay it on the line. I know how much he cares about this locker room and this team and this university. And man, when Baron is as much as possible in a clean pocket, man, he's as good as anybody in the country. And so it's going to be really big that we keep that pocket as clean as possible, let him be him, which is a really talented, tough quarterback, and good things will happen on Saturday.
A heavyweight fight going down Saturday in Lubbock. Number 7 BYU against number 8 Texas Tech. You can watch at noon Eastern time on ABC, preceded by College Game Day. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
You bet, man. Thank you, guys. Wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em. That's right. That is Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire. And we are going to step aside and come back with a breakdown of the college football playoff rankings. Shahan Jayaraja, CBS college national football writer, takes us inside.